Okay, we're live. So, welcome everyone to a pretty incredible episode. Today, I've got Justin Sun with me. I should say His Excellency Justin Sun. And I'm sure me and everyone else is really excited to hear from like one of, if not the most prominent people in the space. So it should be really interesting. Before we get into it, if you'd like to start using the best crypto and NFT analytics platform, there's two links below: the trial for $9 or the light sign up for free. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to have more interviews like this in the future. Should have some more amazing guests on as well. I've got a load of interns on next week. And yeah, so to get things started, Justin, how are you today, firstly?
I'm good, and yes, I think myself also needs to get used to use Nansen as my DeFi platform in the future. Yeah.
Okay, well, hopefully, yeah. Okay, so I wanted to ask you early on, so about your kind of origin story. So I know
Yes.
that I believe you had a lot of early success from like arbitrage between Chinese and English exchanges because you could speak both
Yes.
languages. And
Yes.
even for a stage, you worked at Ripple, right? Which is surprising to
Yes.
me. So could you give, like a short explanation of your origins? Yeah.
Yes. Sure. Definitely. I think in 2012 I get into crypto,
Hmm.
and at that time, I think the main like hash power and also the main exchange is all based in China.
Hmm.
As we all know, like after the Chinese government like regulation, most of the exchange has moved abroad, right? So today, I think the main exchange is more like international based, but at that time, it's all China based. In 2012, I think at that time I'm used to buy Bitcoin, just on some like random Taobao store. It's just like eBay, it's not even like order book exchange. It's like a store. So
Hmm.
some miners, they are willing to sell you Bitcoin with a very cheap price, because they probably basically doing mining for fun. So they are willing to sell you in a very cheap price as long as it's higher than their um, basically their mining fees.
Hmm.
And also you can sell in United States or other place. I mean, in localbitcoin.com.
Hmm.
After that, I mean, soon, I find like empty gox. I can sell on empty gox even for higher price. So that's how I like doing like arbitrage, between Taobao and the empty gox. And later, I mean, since at that time, the margin rate is as high as like 50% or something. You
Really?
can
Wow.
even you can like there's a huge like arbitrage like
Hmm.
opportunity at that time. And then BTC China come in. Finally we have like order book exchange in China, and people start to still like doing arbitrage between Chinese exchange with foreigner exchange, because most of the miners still, I mean, they have no international account, so they always get used to sell in their local exchange because that's the
Hmm.
easiest way to do so. So that's how I get into the crypto industry. Basically doing some arbitrage, and later, I mean, I get invitation from like Stephen Thomas. He's like the early. Later, he become like CTO of Ripple.
Hmm.
I think right now he start his own business in XRP like Ledger ecosystem. But when I first get into OpenCoin, so at that time Ripple have a old name called OpenCoin. So yeah, that's how I started to know XRP, and how I get into crypto industry. And
Hmm.
then like later on, of course, I created Tron, a new smart contract platform, and started my career. So most of people start to know me.
Hmm. Do you think that your like time at Ripple was like the inspiration before like starting Tron, or did you always have that kind of intention?
Yes, definitely. I think the days in Ripple encouraged me to start a new smart contract platform. Because at that time, inside of the Ripple ecosystem, the company also have a smart contract project called Oracle. So basically, the project name is called Oracle. So it's very early on. So I think it's back to like 2014, even before Ethereum was created. I think Stephen Thomas discussed with Vitalik about smart contract like several times, and then in Ripple, I think they also have a smart contract platform called later they rebrand to Codius. So that's the first, I think, XRP, like Ripple based smart contract platform. It's also very funny though. Ripple never did, I think, successfully release publicly their smart contract platform, right? So it's always stay as an experiment project. Even, I mean, it started very early, basically. I think in around 2013, 2014. Ripple also wants to do a smart contract platform. So at that time, I think Ethereum is raising fund on BitcoinTalk.org, and everybody start to get interested in a ledger with a smart contract platform, right? So I think Bitcoin is just like a decentralized ledger, but I think in 2014, people start to thinking about like how about combine smart contract with ledger. So I think that's how I get the first impression about the idea. I think in the first place, and of course, I think Ethereum later launched, I think with a POW consensus model, right? So that's why I'm thinking about like why not we create a smart contract platform with POS mode, which Ethereum gonna become this mode, I think, in the next 1 or 2 months, right? But I think in 2014, 15, this idea is very new. So I'm thinking about first, if we have a smart contract platform which open a numerous potential for the blockchain, but also we use a POS mode, so which is also faster, cheaper for the transaction compared for the POW mode. So that's, I think, the reason why I get idea like how to create it Tron, and why I think this is might have advantage compared to Ethereum. In the first place, I think back to 2015, 16, and then we started same story with Ethereum. We start to get community members get interested in this idea, to hire a technical team, write the documents, get everybody involved. And luckily, I think in 2017, everybody started to get interested in the ICO. I think Tron is also one of the earliest ICO project, launched in 2017. And in 2018, luckily we create the platform. And later, we also attract lots of developers, develop Tron protocol, like Tether, Circle, and JustLand, SunSwap, Sun.io. Lots of developer collaborates with us, build different DeFi, stablecoin, dApps, and also an NFT platform on Tron. So we started to create our own platform. And today, I think Tron is #1 stablecoin network in the world. So we process over $10 billion worth of stablecoin every day. Also with around $40 billion stablecoin the network. So yeah, that's my 10-year story of crypto here. Yeah.
Can I ask you? So you mentioned about ICOs, and I know you've been around. Is it 5 cycles now? So didn't you find a lot of success from ICOs early on, because it was kind of like crowdsourcing, so anyone could kind of invest, and then now it's become a lot harder. So I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite cycle? I'm guessing it was one of the early ones. And then what is
Yes.
your take on like this cycle? And have you actually learned anything different now, or is it kind of the same things over and over?
Yes, I think I will say there's a lot of different.
Yeah.
I think the first I will emphasize on is trust. So based on back to those like good old days, right? So
Yeah.
I think people will trust like each other basically without like any reason at all. So I think back to those days, I mean in bitcointalk.org, when the first time like Ethereum like raising fund on the platform, everyone just like trust the documents they write, I mean on a forum. And then they literally wire money to those addresses, even without like, I mean, today, I mean, most of people understand the concept of crypto, right? So we don't need to trust the person. We just read the smart contract, and if we are comfortable with the documentation, we can do DeFi like anything. But I think from those old days for bitcointalk.org, it's not about like trust the smart contract at all. So because there's no such thing at all. So you just trust not even the person, right? So most of the time when like Vitalik or anyone like talk in the, I think Ethereum is one of the most successful project at that time. There's lots of the project also go back to zero for the token value, but everyone is excited about the idea they discuss in the forum. And as long as I think you bring up a very interesting idea, it's 100% guarantee you can raise some money to test the idea. So I think it's only based on the community trust without like, even most of people don't even know the person, right? It's very ironic, because even today, if you want to use a crypto exchange to trade, you need to get KYC, upload your passport, like basically everything, right? Proof of addresses, everything to prove you are a real person. But at that time, if you even want to raise funds from anyone else, you don't even need to get KYC. So just like get registered with ID, publish the paper, and then you can raise funds. So I think those times like people just trust each other blindly, basically. I also invest into numerous projects. I can't even remember, every project I will put some money in, like every project probably like 1,000 US dollar, 2,000 US dollar. I will invest into those ideas. So I think that's like the my favorite cycle, because at that time, scammers probably don't even get notice about the space, right? Because it's too small, right? It's not like today, right? Twitter scammers is everywhere. They leave message like everywhere. That there's lots of bots doing scam things everywhere. So they also have very sophisticated tools these days. But back to those times, like people just trust each other without like any reason, right? Just like blindly believe like those people will deliver the project, like everyone is focused on discussing new ideas. So I think even those days, we don't have a very powerful ecosystem. There's no like, there's only probably one exchange, MTGOX. And also there's no like Ethereum, right? Only Bitcoin, Litecoin, probably only 2 coins. And but I think that the environment and the way people discussing new ideas is, I think, still something we can learn from today, right? So always remember like how we started crypto in the first place, right? And always remember the imagination, and also like how creative people can be, right? Even I mean with like very early days. So I think that's the spirit I think we should always learn, right? Even probably we have a very robust ecosystem today. That's the spirit I think we can always learn from good old times.
You mentioned that as well, and I wanted to ask you, like, because you are this kind of big person in the space, what is like the things that you want to kind of leave behind, I guess, or the position you want to build in the space? Because I actually believe you were like quite a kind of activist before, and I thought it was really interesting that you don't short crypto, right? Because you're like everyone here is kind of, you know them, or you feel like it's not right to short the space because you're here to build. So what are your takes on kind of the perception of you, and then maybe where you want to be, and what impact you want to have basically on the space?
Yes. So first of all, I always want to be a builder in the space. So that's why like probably everyone on Nansen know me because I'm a very big like a miner, right, in the space. So I'm always I also very early, I think, miners in all different kind of the DeFi protocol. The reason is, I think, of course, I think mining sometimes earns some interest, which is important. But also, I think I always want to be the first person to try out most of the new things in the space. I think just like basically what I do, right, in BitcoinTalk.org those days, always try to try out like new things in the space. So that's why I bought lots of the NFT. Even I mean, probably I earned some money at the peak, but after these days entering like a bear market, most of the NFT investment turns out to be lost money. But I think this is good because I think it's always good to try out the new things happen in the space. I think crypto also is a very good industry, like always have innovation. I mean, around probably 12 months, we will also always see lots of new things in the space. But always, I mean, we also need to be careful, right? Be aware of like scammer, like hack, it's also a very dangerous place. But I think as long as you be cautious and always embrace the innovation in the industry, I think you will always meet a lot of exciting things. And also, I think for me, of course, I never short any crypto at all. Even sometimes I probably has this kind of the sense, the price probably too high, I think it probably will go down, But the only thing I do is probably sell some of my crypto, but I never like short on the crypto. Because first of all, I think just as you said, most of the founder, I know them in the space, right? So I just don't want to take advantage or just earn profits on top of like people's failure, I kind of like feel like morally wrong for doing so. And also, I think second thing is, I always want to be a builder in the space. So I don't want to earn like any profits or money on top of the failure of the project. So we want to build things and earn money because of the success, of the project, or it's really contribute something into the project. So so I think that's like the main reason I never like short crypto projects. And also, I mean, I think it's very important to encourage developer to always build in the space, because I think after these 10 years in crypto, one thing I think is also very the lesson I learned from the crypto space. It's never predict anyone will succeed or fail, because like everyone I know started in the space, all started from scratch. So we didn't even know like when we talk to them, they can eventually succeed in the crypto space. Basically, I witnessed like everybody, right, start from zero to building a multi-billion or even like $100 billion valuation protocol or company, all from scratch, except Satoshi himself, right?
Yeah.
He's the only one I didn't witness this kind of the growth. So that's why I think we should bet on everything. Never make assumption like a project will fail or will be successful. I mean, before you try it out.
I wanted to ask as well. So obviously, because of Nansen as well, and everyone knows your like public ETH wallet.
Yes.
Is it underestimated that you actually trade a lot on other chains as well? So everyone knows the ETH wallet, and then do you actually trade on like BNB and stuff? And then I wanted to ask as well. Maybe we don't have to go much into this. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't you an early investor in like Tesla stocks as well back in 2012-ish? So do you now invest in stocks as well, or are you mainly just crypto, like all in crypto nowadays?
Yes, I think first of all, yes, I'm most of the money is in crypto space. Even I mean, I'm still trading some stocks all the time. So I think recently I bought a stock called LKCNY. So it's called Linking Coffee. So it's basically Starbucks in China. I think this company is very promising because they are basically have even more market share in China than Starbucks, but the company valuation is only like 1/10 of the Starbucks, basically 5 to 10% of the Starbucks valuation. So I think this company is hugely undervalued. So I bought some of them, but I think but only probably like $200 million, something like that. Not like even
only
a small amount, very small compared to tens of billions I hold in crypto. And also, of course, because I think today most of people only monitor like Ethereum addresses. So I also heavily trade on Tron, BSC, blockchain. But most of the people don't even notice that, because I think BSC, Tron blockchain just get less attraction compared to Ethereum blockchain, of course. So, but I think right now I'm heavily trade on three blockchain, Tron, BSC, Ethereum. Right now, I think because like layer 2 is also very important, right? So I probably are gonna spend sometimes on Ethereum layer 2, Arbitrum, Polygon, OP, all of them.
How do you find time? That's what I'm like really interested in, because I swear you're everywhere, and obviously you're running Tron. So do you sleep? You sleep like 1 hour a day?
Yes. So first of all, I mean, I will say for the past 10 years, my whole life is on crypto. So I never doing anything before. I never doing anything after I get into crypto. Before that, I even have some spare time to probably play like Civilization, which is my favorite game. But after that, I never play Civilization anymore, because this is too crypto is way too like time consuming. So that's why I think right now my most of my time is on crypto. I think my time is, I think 2/3 of my time is still like on like crypto, right? So but still 1/3 of my time I will use them to try new projects. So I will take myself is still very active on looking new projects all the time. So I will take probably 1 to 2 hours, look at all the news, Twitter, like everyone like very active in the space. I will talk to them to see if any new crypto projects, I can participate, either by like investment or by just like mining, participate in the project. Because I think that's like also one of the way I learned about like crypto space in the first place.
Can I ask you then? It's quite similar to that. So I put that tweet out like a month or so ago when everything was like really down bad about saying how like everyone's looking at Sam and CZ for acquisitions. So I wanted to ask you, are you still interested in that? And then also, because you mentioned looking on Twitter, did you see my tweet and feel like, okay, it's time for acquisitions? Because I saw that block interview come out right after. I was like, that might be a weird coincidence.
Yes. So first of all, we definitely open to acquire a good company in the crypto space. Before that, we help like acquire like Poloniex, Steam, some of the projects. But I think we are always like looking to acquire or invest into good projects. And also, of course, I think I check all the tweets, all the time. So like anyone, anything, I'm very heavily on Twitter. Probably I think me and CZ is the only two guys, always on Twitter all the time. So for my screen, I always have a Twitter tab, So even sometimes, there is a 2 minutes between different meetings, I will basically scroll down and check all the tweets. So
yeah. Okay, yeah, that's kind of similar to what I do, but I'm nowhere near you. So I wanted to ask you, you've been in this space for so long, obviously made a lot of money, like it's publicly seen. Is there a point, like, do you have an end game in terms of you want to make X amount of money? Or is there an end game in terms of like you want to build something that like leaves a, what's the word? Leave something.
I think I like crypto because it's an endless game, So it's always have something like happen like all the time, good or bad, right? But I think it's always like a endless game. So that's why that's also one of the reason I think I get into crypto space in the first place. It's not about like how much money I can make in the space, but there's always new things come out, like I can learn from those things, I think that's like a very exciting things for me. So so that's like always my philosophy. So I think sometimes, probably, right, we need to work and doing something for living. But most of the time, I think we want to spend the majority of my time explore like unknown, right? Always ready to learn something happen in the crypto space. So that's why, we probably see like a recent cycle, like AC, right? He retired, from the space. Lots of people probably be very successful in a certain period of time, and then they eventually like retire from the space, because they like just tired of, I don't know, like Twitter shit posting, or like a troll, like I don't know, like anything. They get tired of them, so they exit from the crypto space. But for me, I think I have been in the space for like 10 years. I think I will committed to be still in the crypto space for the even next like 20, 30 years. I think one of the reasons is I really enjoy crypto space. I want to be in this space like all the time. So I never like tired of like reading the tweets, about like myself or even crypto space all the time, because I mean, those people is so creative, even when those people probably make fun of me, I find those way is so creative. I can't even like imagine, those way to do that. So that's why that's I think the main reason, keep me in the crypto space all the time.
Yeah, I think that's what I like appreciate about you as well. Is because obviously there are a lot of opinions, but it seems like you kind of roll with it and continue. And it's good that you can laugh at it. I think everyone should be able to laugh at everything, really. I wanted to ask you, like, you mentioned that some people do retire and then leave the space. But in my head, I'm like, how can you leave this space when it's so active? Like you mentioned, if I was mega rich, I mean, obviously I'm not mega rich, so maybe I'll be different. But I would feel like I couldn't do nothing, because you have to really continuously be doing something. So you have a lot of money, but to you, does retiring and doing nothing actually sound like an attractive thing? Because don't you have to be like active and doing stuff, I would assume?
Yes, it's exactly. So retire doing nothing sounds terrible,
Yeah.
because I made lots of the billionaires, they just like hang out in a yacht, with whiskey and doing nothing, which I feel like terrible. If if you leave me in a yacht like for nothing for like even an hour, I will feel uncomfortable, So that's why I think I always want to check about like new things, what happened in the crypto space. That's why even like every night, right, when I get to sleep, so before I get to sleep, the one of the most important things for me is I always looking forward to getting up like tomorrow to check the tweets, see what happened in for the last like 6-8 hours. I'm like offline, like what happens, in the space. So that's why even like every new things happen in the space is one of the reason keep me like in the morning like very excited about life in the first place. So I can't imagine like one day there's nothing new in the crypto space anymore, just as boring as like work probably in JP Morgan or those big banks, nothing gonna change at all for probably for the next 100 years or something, right? So I think that's gonna be terrible for me, gonna do the same thing all the time, So that's why I think I keep like doing things in the crypto space. But always, I think we need to control risk, right? There's lots of risk on mining, invest into new projects, try new things. You're probably gonna lose some money. So I think every time, make sure you understand all the risk before you do any trading or any investment or even like mining, right? So that's what I do too, right? So if you check on my public Ethereum addresses, I don't really do anything new on that addresses because it has way too much money, right? I have lots of small accounts, right? So I do test all the time. But if you want to use your main account to do anything new in the space, be aware of the risk.
You mentioned so that you think this will be kind of a really exciting space for a long time. I want to ask, so do you think most of the kind of strong, I don't know how to describe it, but the innovation before, do you think it's kind of going to slow down from here? So do you feel like we've seen most things and it's just going to be iterations of what we've already got? Or do you feel like there's still a lot more to kind of come out as really fresh, new ideas? And I know that you're quite a big fan of NFTs, right? So do you see NFTs as kind of that next move? So moving away from just JPEGs, I guess, into something else?
Yes. I feel we will have a huge amount of the innovation ahead of us. That's for sure. Because for myself, I'm also a big fan of VR and AR. So I play like VR, AR game like all the time. For the ideal idea for myself for the future of crypto, it's just like I mean, if one word to summarize, I think is metaverse, right? So everybody discuss like metaverse today, but for me, I think metaverse is like a completely a new world with blockchain and also with AR like VR, everything combined together. So basically, eventually, to summarize, you can just live in the virtual world forever. That's like what I imagine in the future. the interview, like podcast we are doing, and also everything, working, interview, like everything will all happen in a VR like space. And there is no like credit card, like bank anymore. Everything is blockchain based if we talk about the financial space. And everything we have is NFT, right? Like house, like everything on the space is all NFT based. So that's why I think even, what we are doing today is so like early days. It's just like internet in 1995, right?
Yeah.
So everything is very late, basically, I would say.
Yeah.
It's still very complicated to learn, very hard to use. There's lots of like concept you need to process before using the product. It's not as good as, the user experience is not as good as you are using iPhone today, right? So everything is very premature, I will say. So that's why I think before, we get to the ideal world, right? Just as I said, like metaverse world, you can basically have everything get done in the virtual space. I think before we get to this object, every innovation will be small innovation. I will still say, because in the future, like NFT can be everything, right? But today, right, we get started with JPEG, right? Just like, in 1995, there's no like e-commerce, right? Like Uber, like everything, right? There is only probably just like Yahoo, right? You can check news on the space. Very early stage, but later on, you will have search engine like Uber, e-commerce, everything happen in the space. So that's why I think even, right, sometimes when I try to sell JPEG ideas, NFT idea to my friend, they always saying to me, "This is stupid, right? Why somebody buying like JPEG for?" Even for money, that's stupid, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just like people, right? When back to 1995, when they see like internet, right? Those people will feel stupid too, because you can check news on newspaper, but you need to spend a lot of money get on internet to check the news, right? So I think that's like the same thing, right? But I think for the next like 10, 20 years, everything will change. Eventually, I'm a big believer, everything will move from offline to online space, basically move to a virtual world. And the crypto space will be the place they go.
You mentioned like talking to your friends, like trying to convince them into NFTs. Do you? I would find it so surprising if you have like the same struggles that I'm sure all of us do in like trying to convince people to get into crypto. Because surely, don't your friends look at you and be like, "You're mega rich. You've done really well. I should probably listen to you." Or do you still have that struggle of like, yeah, they still don't understand what's going on?
Yes, I think first of all, I definitely have struggle on that.
Yeah.
Because this is not like defined on the money you make, right? So those people is just don't understand like why like JPEG even have value in the first place, right? So because most of the time, when I told my friend, right, when I buy a JPEG, I can change to my profile picture. These are like, I can use your picture as my profile as well, right? Why even worth any money at all, right? So and also when I told them like NFT project is the future, right? They just don't understand like why like anyone will pay money on virtual things actually, right? So that's also a very I think big idea. They just can't get it, right? If they buy some like a real thing in the world, right? Like a house, like anything they can buy in the store. They understand the value. But if you sell them, no matter like JPEG photos or right cryptocurrency itself, they just don't think it's worth anything at all. So that's why I think you need to live in this world to understand basically why everything has value in the first place. Because for me, I think after I migrate to crypto world, I'm never gonna go back to the real world, right? So that's also a very good idea, and also something, you know, I always told my friend. So sometimes they are asking me like, you have lots of Bitcoin, like Ethereum, Tron, right? Every cryptocurrency, you have a lot of them. But before you convert them into real fiat, those money is just fake, you know. So they will say like, if you don't like convert them back to US dollars, you know, it doesn't count, you know. It's just like fake money, you know. It's just like something probably you earn in Minecraft, right? Some in game, you know. It just doesn't count, you know. But for me, I mean, the idea is why I need to convert them back to fiat in the first place, right? This is the place I gonna live forever, right? It's just like for like a one let me give a metaphor. It's just like one person living in United States, and you just told him like, if you have like 10,000 US dollars, if you don't convert into RMB, right, CNY, it just doesn't count, you know. But he will tell you, I mean, I live in United States all the time. Why I need to convert my my money into CNY, right? To get recognition, you know. So that's like my idea too. I think eventually for crypto space, we will live here forever. So there is no need for us to convert anything back to fiat anymore. I mean, sometimes today, right, because we still live in the real world, besides like virtual world, right? We need to live in a house, right? We need to eat something, you know, have some like offline life. So that's why we need fiat. But I think eventually we are building everything we can to make everybody eventually, for probably will take long, but for the next like 20, 30 years, we want eventually everybody will live like online rather than offline, right? So that's why everything online will become valuable. And also, I mean, luckily, I think for most of the people don't understand my idea is older than me. So I think in the future generation, more and more people will live in the virtual world 100%, right? So that's why I think sometimes I even argue with people. I also have a Picasso painting, right? So I always told them, eventually NFT will be even more expensive than Picasso painting. Because, you know, Picasso painting will eventually someday migrate to NFT world, just like most of the things, you know. So that's why I think after probably 20, 30 years, the new generation won't appreciate Picasso anymore, because this is a very old like art collection. But they will start to appreciate NFT, not because NFT is valuable, because NFT is the space they live in the first place, right? It's just like, right, we don't need to appreciate a house because house is the place we live, right? So that's like what I feel in the future. I mean, and also the direction we are going. So we will build a virtual world. Eventually, everybody will live in it. So it will have like a value, utility value, and the genuine value, like for the new generation.
Do you feel like it's your responsibility to like convince people to get into this space, to get into crypto, to start using it, start using NFTs? Or is that not your responsibility, in your opinion? And it's kind of, it will naturally happen. And all of us are like part of that. And then also this world that we're trying to convince people into, do you feel like this is a world where crypto, for instance, completely takes over like traditional finance? Or does it work alongside it? And then do you feel like NFTs completely just take over physical art? or does it work alongside it, or is that just a longer term like outcome?
Yes. First of all, I feel this is my responsibility to get more people involved into crypto space, and also for to get mass adoption, happen like earlier. Because I think I have two beliefs. First of all, I'm a huge believer. Basically, eventually, crypto will take over everything. I think it's gonna happen without even my endeavor. So if I do nothing, crypto will take over everything as well. But the contribution myself, like everyone can make, is to make this future come earlier. So that's I think is our why I'm doing this is because I want this happen earlier, right? So like everybody can enjoy a better life earlier, So that's like basically my idea. And also, of course, I think the product and the things we are building, I think will also improve the quality of life in the virtual world. So that's also is very important, right? So we know the future, but the future is built by everyone in the space. So also we have the obligation to build a better product and build a better world. As basically try our best to build a better product. I think that's like the value of us. And for the traditional industry and the crypto industry, I think it's in the long term it's gonna be parallel for quite a long time. I think probably 20, 30 years. But eventually, I think crypto will take over. So basically, the percentage crypto and NFT basically will keep growing. I think eventually, of course, to 100%. But I think it's gonna take long. But eventually, we will get there.
Also, are you just naturally a big fan of kind of art anyway? Because I remember you bought, because I was kind of looking at when you bought that lunch with Warren Buffett, and then it also mentioned how you bought like a physical art piece. I think it was like 70 million or something crazy. So are you just a big fan of art anyway? So when you saw kind of the NFT craziness last year, it was like perfectly matched for you? Or do you feel like NFTs have kind of made that more of a passion? And then also, have you been buying NFTs recently, or is that more like a last year thing?
Yes. So first of all, I think for myself, yes, I'm an art collector. So even without like NFT become like super popular, I bought like physical art all the time. So last year, I think I bought like a Giacometti for $70 million. That's like one of the very symbolic piece of Giacometti. So I think I'm also very lucky. So I can bought this piece because the same I think counterpart for this piece is always like $120 million, even like $110 million. It's very expensive one. So I think the one I have is with a very good quality, but with a reasonable price, I will say. So that's why I think when I see NFT start to take off, I think this is really a good match for me. And I think crypto space needs to have this kind of the art too. I think because first of all, before that, I think crypto is more like a financing, right? So people is always talking about like finance, talking about like algorithm, talking about data analysis, which is super boring for people outside of the space, right? But last year, I think since like NFT become super popular, everything become very easy to understand, right? So before I think when I also give lots of my cryptos, I mean even Bitcoin, to lots of my celebrity friends in China, and they don't understand crypto at all. So after that, start from last year, I start to buy NFT to give to them. So I feel like this is a good way to convince them get to crypto space, and NFT, is something, right? At least it's a JPEG, right? They know this is something, right? So, and they can understand, right? So this is the gift I give you, rather than because crypto is just some code, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to people outside of the crypto space. So I think that's why I think NFT also give us a very I think good way to communicate a common language with people outside of the crypto space. I think that's the biggest advantage of NFT. I think for last year. And this year, of course, I think I still buying some NFT. But I think this year the NFT progress is not as crazy as last year.
Yeah.
So I still bought some NFT. Even I built a new NFT platform called Ape NFT. So it's I think we just launched 3 months ago. So I'm still very active in the NFT space, building NFT platform, and also launch an NFT project on the Ape NFT platform. But of course, we know, right? So NFT is not as popular as last year because this is bear market, right? But still, I think keep building in the bear market. Eventually, we will, I think, get back to the all-time high.
Yeah, and you mentioned so NFTs are a really nice entry into the market. It's nice to look at. If it goes to zero, at least you hold a nice JPEG. Do you feel so before, what was the alternative to that? To me, it was these meme coins, so Doge and everything like this. Do you feel like NFTs have just pushed these meme coins out of the way? You don't hear much about them nowadays, and maybe once we're bullish again, what are you going to buy, a dog coin or an NFT? To me, I feel like people will buy NFTs again. So do you feel like that market is maybe gone? Or do you feel like Doge, for instance, might still be a leader in this kind of meme coin sector of crypto?
Yes. First of all, I think meme has a long-standing, I think, past in the crypto space. So I won't see meme gonna gone. I think in the probably next 5 years for crypto. So in this part, I think I'm very bullish on memes because for example, Dogecoin, when it's back to 2014, when it first launched, everybody believed this doesn't have any value at all. The price is very cheap, but later on, right, Elon Musk started to recognize it, and it goes to skyrocketed, become a main crypto. But I always will say a meme, because this is one of the long-standing topic of internet in the first place, because meme happen in the crypto space everywhere, even like the internet space, right? So that's why because I think this become a gene of internet and the web in the first place. So that's why I don't think this topic will go basically in short time. But also I think in each cycle, there will have different narrative to lead the increase of the value of crypto. So I think this change every 6 months, basically, even for sometimes even changing every 3 months, right? So I think for recently, definitely I think the narrative is Ethereum layer 2, right? So we see OP, go up, and also of course, since Ethereum will start POS migration very soon. So I think probably the fork of Ethereum and the Ethereum 2.0 become very popular. just as 2017, when like Bitcoin upgrade, there is like BCH, BSV, like all different for Bitcoin fork, comes out like all the time, So I think different time, you have different narrative, basically, right? And they will lead this narrative for a period of time. So if you ask me, like, what's the narrative right now, I think it's Ethereum 2.0, POS, POW fork, and also layer 2 solution, right? But I don't know, like for the next like 3 months, probably change. But also you can always find some reason behind it, right? So like Bitcoin fork, Ethereum fork, right? And then, meme coin, Doji in 2014, 15, later like Doji, like Shiba, Elon, So the story is like, it's a cycle, right? So it's come out like all the time. But it's also changing all the time, I will say.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I feel I could probably ask you 100 more questions, but I know that you've got limited time. So we've only got 5 more minutes. So I wanted to ask you really quickly, like a shortened answer, because I know you can't be definite, but what do you think about the market right now? How long do you feel like we've got in this kind of down period?
Yes. I think in short term, I think right now we are still in a small bull cycle, I will say. Because, right now, Fed is stop hiking, right? Because they will find the next like 2 months, to do it again. So right now, we find this kind of the small break period, right? So we can take some break. So I think that's also right now Ethereum, as I said, like there's lots of the new narrative is driving the growth right now. So that's why I think we are right now in the short period of time, we are still have 1-2 months like a small like bull cycle, I will say. But if you talking about like 3 to 6 month cycle, I think it's depend on several factors. So first of all, is we are going to have a new concept can drive the growth of crypto industry, right? Just like what we have seen like NFT, like meme, like DeFi, what we have before. So for crypto industry, I think the new narrative is very important. So we need to find a new narrative can drive the increase of crypto space. And also, of course, I think the environment, overall financial environment is very important, right? For example, right, I think Fed interest rate is very important. And also, of course, we need to see like how like stock market like performance, So I think that's why I think in the 3-4 months period of time is still kind of like uncertain. But for us, I think since we can decide it is still to build new things, to find a new narrative, can get lots of people into crypto space.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to have to finish, which is sad. But I wanted to ask you one question. Are you going to Token 2049? Because I think I'm going. A lot of the Nansen team will be there.
Yes, I'm going to Token 2049. Yeah, see you in Singapore.
Yes, I will see you there then. Okay, so thank you so much for joining. Thank you everyone for listening as well. I'm going to say subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Sign up to Nansen if you want to. 2 links in the bio. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining. Honestly, it's amazing. Have a great weekend. And have a great weekend, everyone.
Have a great weekend.
Yes. Okay. Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye-bye.